Hi, my name's Cassie Nobbs. I'm a physiotherapist at Comox Physiotherapy in beautiful British Columbia, Canada, on Vancouver Island. This is Healthy Movement with Physio Cassie. My passion is helping people find healthy movement options to improve their quality of life, whether that means running your first marathon or gardening without pain. Hi there, welcome to video 2 in my running injury prevention series. This series is intended to be a series of approximately 4 or 5 videos geared towards the Couch to 5K group for the Comox Valley Road Runners. So as such, the intended audience are beginner runners to intermediates that haven't had much coaching. If you fall into that category, sit tight. I'm sure this video will be very interesting to you. If not, if you're more of an elite runner and you've had a lot of coaching in the past, this may not be for you. Though, we're still going to cover some of the basics, and it's always good to review the basics. Maybe you want to hang on anyway. Let's begin. Welcome to Healthy Movement with Physio Cassie. This video is the second half of my form section of the injury prevention videos that I have developed for the Couch to 5K group with the Comox Valley Road Runners. Cadence deserves its own video, so here it is. So when we talk about cadence, what exactly is it that we're talking about? Cadence is essentially the number of times your foot hits the ground in a minute. And so sometimes we talk about cadence in terms of a total running cycle. So from the time that, let's say, your right foot hits the ground all the way through to the next time that your right foot hits the ground, that's one cycle. And how many of those cycles occur in a minute would be your revolutions per minute. The elite runners typically run at 84 to 88 revolutions per minute. That doesn't change very much regardless of their speed, which is super interesting. So they actually produce more speed, not by changing their cadence that much, but by actually increasing their contact forces with the ground. Super fascinating, but I digress. So if you're hitting the ground 84 to 88 times with one foot each minute, if you're counting steps, if we're counting left and right, then that number translates into 168 to 176, which is the number that I usually use as a target number for most of my runners. Now, the first piece of this is that you have to figure out what your current cadence is, because you can't go from a much slower cadence to a much higher cadence immediately. It just doesn't work. Your body has to move into it. It has to grow into it, just like it has to grow into distance. So this next little section, I'm going to speak to how do you assess your own cadence? What is your cadence? There are a couple different ways that you can assess your cadence. One of the easiest ways is to just count your steps over a whole minute. That's a little bit long, so what I often do if I'm checking on my cadence is I will count my steps over a 15-second chunk of time, or maybe a 30-second chunk of time, and then multiply it by 4 or 2 respectively. That will get you your overall cadence. And then from that, if you know that your current cadence is approximately, let's say your current cadence is approximately 78 revolutions per minute, which translates into 156 steps per minute, then you would set an interval that you could work on up by about 5 steps per minute from that. So back to that idea of 150, let's call it 155, just for simplicity's sake. You're going to add 5 to that. So you would do intervals of 30 seconds to a minute of 100 and, what did I say, 55? So up to 160. Sorry, I'm losing track of my numbers. And you could do that as part of your warm-up, in your warm-up drills like we talked about in the previous video. So you could do 30 seconds on, take a rest, 30 seconds on, and do that 5 times through. Or you could also incorporate it into your regular run. So what I often do is, as I'm running along, I'll have my phone with me and set my metronome timer to the desired cadence, and I will let that timer run, and I have it make 2 separate tones, one for the left side, one for the right side. I have it set to run for a minute. So I start my timer, I run with the metronome, the metronome automatically stops at a minute, my interval's done. And I might do that once every 5 minutes in a longer run. It's a great way to incorporate cadence work into your day-to-day running, and it helps a lot with decreasing impact forces through the legs and improving your efficiency. So why does cadence matter? Cadence matters because every time your foot hits the ground, it has to do a certain amount of work. And so when you hit the ground, as a recreational runner, you hit the ground with approximately 500 pounds of force. So think about that 500 pounds of force. If you could decrease that 500 pounds just a little bit by increasing the number of times your foot hits the ground each moment, that will decrease the overall impact forces. It's a little bit trickier to describe, but let's just say, I'm going to make up a word. Let's just say that you needed, because I don't want to make real numbers, so let's say you needed 100 squinks. 100 squinks of force to get from point A to point B in 1 minute. So if you need 100 squinks of force and your feet hit the ground 50 times, that means you're getting 2 squinks per foot strike. But if your feet hit the ground 75 times, then you're getting 1.5 squinks per foot strike. And if they hit the ground 100 times, then you're getting 1 squink per foot strike. I hope that makes sense. It's sort of the same concept as if you've got all your groceries in the back of your car, and rather than going back and forth to your car 4 times, which is actually less overall physical muscular effort, but takes a little bit more time, your overall load to your body is less. I hope I explained that well. Meanwhile, I'm going to grab my phone so that I can show you how to set up your Metronome app. So I happen to use Metronome Beats, which looks like this. It's this app. Sorry for the glare. I'm going to include another image in the video as well. It's really great. It allows me to kick up my cadence by 5 beats per minute really easily if I just tap that number there. I can hit this little play button and it gives me my 2 sounds back and forth, my little beats, and it's set for a timer of 1 minute. You can adjust the beats per bar and so on and so forth. I do not get paid by Metronome Beats. I'm not sponsored by Metronome Beats. It's just the app that I really like. It's the one that I've used for a while, and it is free. So I'll include some information about that in the description for this video. So now I'm going to try to demonstrate with the treadmill what a change in cadence does for you. So we're going to start with a cadence of 160, which is really quite slow for me. I have the treadmill set at a pace of, it's a 10-minute mile, so it's 6 miles per hour. I'll calculate that out into minute kilometers at some point. Probably not that important. So, okay, here we go. 160 to start for my cadence, and then I'm going to up it to 180. Now I'm actually going to up it as I'm riding on the treadmill. I do not recommend this at all whatsoever. I have a lot of treadmill practice. Here we go. So starting at 160, which is really quite slow for me and feels very sloppy. And then increasing that up to 180. And you can see how everything just feels like it tightens up a little bit and I get a bit more stable. So I'm going to demonstrate again, this time from the side, starting at 160. And then upping it to 180. Took me a moment to find that there, but there I'm now. And I hope that what you can see is that there's just less downward force and less sloppiness as I run at that higher cadence. So in summary, A higher cadence almost always translates into decreased impact forces for most people, and decreased impact forces means fewer injuries. In addition to that, it's more economical, so you can actually run with less energy expenditure, which for some people isn't a good thing because that means you're not burning as many calories. But for most people, as you start to get into longer distance running, it's good to be economical with your running. So the goal, again, being to figure out what your current cadence is, and then to start doing intervals at approximately 5 steps per minute faster than what your current comfort level is. If you try to increase it by more than that, it becomes very difficult and it can get very frustrating. So I demonstrated the difference of a whole 20 steps per minute. You would never try to jump up that much. The ultimate goal would be somewhere around 180. 180 is a little bit faster than what the elite runners do most of the time, but if you're training at 180 for your drills, then usually you'll end up with a little bit slower when you actually go out for your run if you're not focused on it. All right, I hope that helps. So I'd love to be able to go for a run with you every day and to talk to you while you're running and tell you what to do to help improve your running form, but I can't. So what I want you to imagine is my voice inside your head saying quick, fast feet. That's what cadence is all about. Quick, fast feet. Light feet. That's about impact forces into the ground. That's part of what we talked about in the first video about form and drills. And also hips forward, where your hips and pelvis are above your feet so that your feet land underneath your hips and pelvis. Finally, no extra movement side to side. It's okay to rotate, but you don't want to be doing this kind of thing. Those are the most important things. Fast, light feet, hips forward, not too much side to side. That's form in a nutshell. Finally, here comes the awkward self-promotion piece. I do one-on-one consultations all the time for runners, other types of athletes, regular Joes, grandmas just trying to get up off the ground. If you're interested in having a consultation with me, those can be done in person. We have COVID protocols in place for that if you're in the Comox Valley area. If you're not in the Comox Valley area, I am doing telehealth consultations, and as you can see, the video format actually works pretty well. And you could even take a video of yourself running and send it to me. I could analyze it and send the video analysis back to you. I hope that's helpful. If you are interested in booking an appointment, please contact us through comoxphysio.com. Thank you.